Why is this information useful?
Well, if your political orientation is genetically transmitted, it's coming from your parents. So it's your parents meeting and mating. And so there's this piece that's been missing from the study of politics, that kind of connection of first your parents meeting and mating. What are they meeting and mating on? And then why are you more like your parents and more like your siblings than the general public, despite of how you were raised or where you were raised? If you control for all that, how you were raised, you're still more like your parents and siblings than everyone else. If you control for social demographic background, your education, the schools you went to, even your religion, you're still more like your parents and your siblings. So then you have to ask, what's going on there? And that's really what we're trying to figure out. What is really going on? Is it the act of selecting on sex? Are they selecting on politics? Is it based on genotypic selection? Are spouses more genetically similar? And in some ways, in some very limited ways they are, in other ways they're not. So yeah, we're really trying to unpack this kind of this interaction between nature and nurture. It's not nature or nurture. It's always going to be an interaction, and how at each stage those interactions work to create you. Yeah.
You're doing some research on speed dating at the moment. How does that tie into the whole thing about what people like in another person?
So we're trying to see if we can get that quick. What are the things you first look at? Because we know how spouses end up. They end up more similar on church attendance and politics. So we know that's how they end up. But how do they get there? And how do they select on each other? And one way to do it is to go through numerous iterations to see what criteria they'll select on and what they'll throw out, and to do it at different stages in someone's life. So the 18 to 24, 24 to 30, 30 to 40, does it actually change the criteria that we select on? And it seems it would. We are different people in those stages. And so we take a large group, we're doing it in the States, doing several experiments. One was a speed dating one to actually see like the criteria they're selecting on. In that speed dating experiment, we're taking genotypes on our individuals and hormones. And then we're also doing a sister experiment, which we're testing the smell of people and seeing how they rate the smell of an individual and how they can match the smell to the picture of the individual and their personality profile. And so we're trying to unpack at how we actually select on each other, and if we know information just based on our biological disposition. Do we know something about someone just by being near them without even asking them a question? Do we know something about the way they smell? Would that tell us something? And so we're really starting to pull apart this how we're selecting on one another.
And would that help a politician in a sense, because most of us would only see them on TV? We wouldn't get to smell them.
No. But it does seem that physiological response, we are getting cues from politicians, particularly facial recognition. There's a really strong literature about trust, looking at someone's face. Can you trust them by their face? And so that would link into that. So if we could see by their facial expression their trust, maybe their smell, if we have interpersonal contact, we can actually assign visual stimuli to smell stimuli, and we do it all the time. I mean, imagine, when you smell something, your mouth starts to water, and you don't even have to smell it. Think of something that you really like a pizza or a lollipop or something, and the saliva glands will start opening up. So you have that in memory. And we do that with people all the time. We associate a value to something. We give it, we care about it, we believe in it, even though we've never seen it, we see it on TV.
A lot of people still feel quite visceral feelings towards the Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, in the manner in which she got rid of Kevin Rudd. How do we explain that?
Yeah, I would say that that's an issue we've looked at quite a bit recently, myself and my colleagues. And if you think about politically, they were family. Rudd and Gillard were together. They came in together as government. They were part of a political family. And in effect, the public views her as she sold her family down the river for self-promotion. And it really hurts the trust, even though we know why that happened. We know cognitively that it was a political move, that Rudd was going to go out no matter what, so she would probably go with him if she didn't take the move up. And so, if we think about it in those terms, we understand it. But on a personal, deep level, it makes sense for the public to not feel good about that and to actually now look at her with mistrust. And in our own literature, in the evolutionary literature, there's this very strong literature of kin selection, and that the one thing you don't do is sell out your kin. And we see that in our own families. You know, when you talk about you always back your family's play, you keep it in the family, that we actually view these things in this way, even on the political sphere, in the political world. And in the public's view, it makes perfect sense to me that they would view her with distrust, even though they may appreciate her policy positions, they may understand why it had to happen, they may understand that Rudd was declining in public support and that the Labour Party was going to lose control, but they still, most people would have rather she went down with the ship than to sell out her family. And I think that's one of the reasons why she had a very difficult time, particularly the Labour Party had a very difficult time in this last election.
Peter, Tommy, thanks so much for speaking with 1+1.
Thanks for having me.